Okay, so for Gregory Alan Isakov's She Always Takes It Black, we're going to be capoed on the 2nd fret. I believe in the original recording he is tuned down a half step and no capo. In different performances that you can find online, though, he'll be in different keys, but that's what we're going to be in. And we'll start off with a C, and we'll stay here for a little bit. We're going to get used to the picking pattern that he uses. It's very fast, and we're going to differentiate between the bass note and then what happens on the B and the E string, because pretty much throughout the whole song we're doing a bass note followed by 2 quick repetitions of the B and the E. So basically like that. And the bass note is generally changing, ascending melodically through the chord that we're playing at any given time. So with the C, if we play the A, the D, and the G string, and then after each of those bass notes we play the B and the E, that's basically what we do throughout the whole song, just with different chords. And a little note on getting familiar with this, if this is new for you, it can take a second to get used to, because these notes, normally when you're playing fingerstyle, you're playing very intentional notes, whereas these are very much more like filler, and they happen very quickly. So what I would suggest doing to get up to speed with this is start off slow, and every time you practice it, just go through that a couple times. And what will happen over time is you'll get more and more familiar with it. You'll see yourself progressing every time you pick up your guitar and try it out, and eventually you get to the point where it's pretty seamless for you to play. So start off with that, and then when that becomes more familiar, come back and we can go through the intro and the remaining chords, because we actually make it slightly more complicated than that. So we get familiar with that rhythm, and the very first chord, which is a C, we throw in a hammer on, which is slightly different than the flow of the rhythm that we've been talking about. So you're going to hit the D string open and do a quick hammer on to the 2nd fret. And that's going to be what you play during that, as you go through that progression through the C. And it might not sound very complicated, but getting familiar and comfortable with it, it actually is a little bit difficult. At least it was for myself. And then we're going to go to the F, where we do essentially the same thing with a hammer on, but what we do is in the C we actually hammered on the note the string that we played. But when we go to the F, we're actually going to hit the bass note, this F. I wrap my thumb around, and we're going to do the hammer on a string that we have not recently played, or at least it wasn't the most recent string that we played. So it's going to be the G string. So what we have happening is, so I'm plucking on the bass string and then hammering on the 2nd fret of the G string. I'll play through the C and the F very slowly. So you notice, again, we go through the C, and we pluck the G string, but we're going to first hit the F string, or the F note on the E string, before doing the hammer on. And if you can learn those 2 chords in that manner, then you can be confident that you can play the rest of the song. That is the most complicated part, the very first 2 chords. So we're going to continue with the F. We're going to do another hammer-on the G string, this time actually having plucked it. And then our filler. And then the A string. And then we're going to go to an A minor and essentially do exactly the same thing with the right hand that we did during the C chord. And then to a G. And that's the intro. He repeats it one more time, basically, but we'll play through it again here all the way through. And the second time through, he follows it up. He just throws in a couple C chord fillers before he starts singing. So now at the verse, when he does start singing, we're going to start off with an F. And you can play the bass note as your first note if you want, but I'm pretty sure he plays, he's just playing the A, D, and the G. So with our filler notes as always, and the first fret of the B string with open E string, as opposed to having them both fretted. We're going to have the E string played open. So, dreaming of, and then we go to a C and we play our same thing. This golden gray. And then we're going to descend the bass note down to a G, from C to B to A minor to G. Oh, I'm falling from the shine. Play the G twice. And then we repeat that again, that whole same series of chords. Talking sweet to the queen, wishing I was riding with the jazz. And then we're gonna go to an A minor, walking proud, to an E minor, and lonesome now. And then to a C, oh, I'm yearning for, then F, the past. Back to our A minor, but I'd never say I. And then to an F this time, love you, dear. To a G, just to hear you. And then we start over and play our intro. Say it back. So you can see how if you can just get that right-handed pattern down, then switching the left hand from chord to chord is really all that you have to do, and that's something you're already very familiar with. So spend a lot of time learning just those first two chords of the intro, the C and the F. I would say just practice those as much as you can. And then when you're familiar with those, come back and you can pick up the left hand transition from chord to chord pretty easily. And one other note just on overall musicality is to really emphasize the bass notes in contrast to the filler notes. The filler notes are really just background, and if you happen to miss one, it doesn't necessarily matter just because they're supplementing the actual melody, which is the... So keep that in mind as you're practicing to really have that difference between the two types of notes. I'll go ahead and play through it one more time, just the verse to finish off. Dreaming of this golden grain, oh, I'm falling from the shine. Talking sweet to the queen, wishing I was riding with the jazz. Walking proud and lonesome now, oh, I'm yearning for the past. But I'd never say I love you, dear, just to hear you say back.